you hear the one about the priest, the Jewish rabbi, and the... Never mind.
What about the screen on the back? Yes, I would like to have it back. Okay, and thank you all for being here tonight. Johnette and I, we have been participating in Sojourner Mission ministry for about, since 2013, I guess. We first heard about the Sojourners attending Tulsa workshop. You can remember that. A lot of you attended there. The Sojourners, they always had a booth set up. We would visit it and gather information. They also had a breakout session, which we attended. Our next exposure to the Sojourners was in 2013. We visited a former member, Peggy Saylor, in Mount Dora, Florida. We attended a fried chicken fundraiser for the church, school, and children's home there. And we met some Sojourners who were also attending the workshop that was held at a camp nearby. We went for a few days and determined that this was something we wanted to do during our retirement years. Plus, when they heard that I was an electrician, they were pretty determined for us to join them. This first video didn't exactly fit us. You know, I'm a lot better looking than this gentleman on the screen, and but it's a nice introduction as to why we became involved.
This is Joe and Linda. After retiring, their lives have become a bit dull. They started searching for something that would give their lives purpose again. And what they found was Sojourners. Although they were skeptical, they packed up their RV and headed off to see what sojourning was all about. And boy, was it all they hoped for. They made new friends. They studied the Word and grew spiritually. They signed up for meaningful work. And above all, Joe and Linda got off their rockers and discovered a new shared purpose.
Just to give you a little bit of background, the Sojourner Mission was the result of a long-time dream of Peggy and Paul Scott. The couple, Scott was in the Navy, and they had traveled around quite a bit and had witnessed some of the struggles that small congregations had and in the areas that they had lived. So God planted within their heart a lingering desire to help these congregations become self-supporting and to equip them to grow the congregation or the church and the communities that they lived in. They didn't really know the specifics of how they were going to do this, but they knew that they really felt that God was calling them to do this for this purpose. When Paul retired from the military, they attended the Sunset School of Preaching in preparation for their journey. They were joined by Richard and Georgie Jones, and together they began to realize their dream of using their RV by traveling and serving in these local small congregations. Well, after several years of doing that type of mission work, the Scotts were joined by Marvin and Linda Hall, as well as others who were interested in serving. They held their first workshop in Weslaco, Texas, and in January of 1979, the group adopted their identifying name of National Evangelism with Sojourners. So throughout the years, you might have noticed on the video there was a sign that said "Can't Be," but throughout the years, the Sojourners have come together, and they've dedicated some of their time and finances to developing what we now call Camp B, that is located in Marshall, Texas. This is a beautiful campground. They have a number of cabins and meeting rooms, and a large dining hall, and then they also, in addition to that, they have about 150 RV sites that are full hookup, which means sewer. It's important, sewer, water, electricity, and actually I do put them in that order. So anyway, the Sojourners are currently under the oversight of the Burleson Church of Christ Elders, which is in Burleson, Texas. Yeah, okay, I couldn't remember if that was street or Texas. But some of the Sojourners, there's I guess several, I really don't know the numbers, but there are several that have gone ahead and got into sojourning full time, meaning that they have sold their home and bought a larger RV that they travel around during the sojourns, and then they go ahead and park it there at Camp B. And they generally, and a lot of them go ahead and live there, and they do help with maintenance and some of the other things that go on there at the campground, plus in the congregation, local congregation. Well, there's an annual workshop. Well, it used to be annual, however, it was canceled in 2020 and 2021. Guess why? It's held in October. Another one of the Bible camp, the youth Bible camps near Mount Dora, Florida, they host another workshop in February, which is the time for us to sign up for the sojourns that we want to participate in throughout the year. And then every other year there's one that's held on the West Coast.
The website sojourning.org states that there are approximately 125 sojourns every year, more than 500 active members, and I don't know how many inactive members there are that belong to the Sojourners organization. They suggest that you do a sojourn, at least one sojourn, every other year. Last year, Johnette and I, we did 3 back to back to back. And we determined after those 3, it was a little bit too much at one time, so we're trying to limit it some. Approximately 5,000 lives have been impacted through the Sojourner Mission. Congregations, Bible youth camps, Christian colleges, children's homes, they all make application for either a physical or an evangelistic sojourn about a year in advance. A detailed description on the work to be completed, dates requested, and information regarding the RV sites that are available is turned in to the Camp B directors for processing. The request forms are then posted for sojourners to volunteer for all the workshops in Marshall, Texas, or in Mount Dora, Florida. The green dots are the Sojourner green dots are the newbies. That's the first timers. That the first year they've been there, they get first choice to look at everything, and they can go, that they get the prime pickings, you might say. And then the next day, the rest of the group gets to sign up for where they want to go. All right, and there is Johnette. Here are a few pictures of the Green Dot Banquet. The year that a person becomes a Green Dot, they are a guest at the banquet hosted by the previous year's Green Dots. The year that we were hosts, the general theme was hobos. Everybody dressed up, some more than others, and there's lots of food, entertainment, and of course, yeah, I'm supposed to do that. Thank you. And of course, a lot of fellowship and games during the time that you're there.
It said, we will preach for food. He said, I will preach for food.
Earlier this year, we were at Wiregrass. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Our next set of slides are from the Sojourner Bible camps we had worked at during our 8 years of participation. This photo here is the Little Egypt Bible Camp in 2015. It is near Mount Vernon, Illinois. There was painting, cleaning, cutting brush. We poured a footing for a new cabin that was going to be constructed. Me and another gentleman, brother, we put wainscoting around a rec room, just about so high, made of concrete board, so that they couldn't put the foot through the sheetrock anymore. We had a little bit of that. Okay, I lost my place. Earlier this year, we were at Wiregrass Bible Camp. This is located near Enterprise, Alabama. Myself and another brother, well, actually 2 other brothers, we did electrical work in 4 different cabins. We completely stripped out the old electrical that was way below code and brought everything up to code. Put stuff in conduit, put smoke detectors in all the cabins, put an outlet for a air conditioner that they were going to put in because, of course, summer camp is during the summer, and none of these cabins had air conditioning until this past year, and they did.
I want to mention that she is not leading singing, if anyone. we're actually discussing at that point. Well, there's,
yeah, she's not leading. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I keep forgetting to push the button, but
yes,
that's all right.
Yeah.
Hey, we're relaxed up here.
We're making curtains.
Yeah.
We're making curtains for.
And the reason we went to Alabama, this was after we left Texas, we went to Alabama. It's supposed to be warm in Alabama, southern Alabama. Well, you notice I got a heavy Carhartt coat on. This was the same time that Texas was hit with all the winter ice and snow and cold weather and frozen pipes. Well, it extended on to Alabama also. It was chilly and cold down there, about 30 degrees a lot of times. But we survived. Others did maintenance work on the cabins. They were redoing the cabins and putting front porches on them. And the ladies sanded and stained 1,600 tongue and groove boards, a whole bunch of them, which was accomplished while we were there, and they were installed on the ceilings of the cabin.
I thought we had a picture.
I thought we had a picture there. No, anyway, we don't have a picture of the ceiling.
Behind you.
Okay, this slide here in 2018, we went back to Little Egypt Bible Camp again. That year, I built bunk beds, and the women, they sanded and stained them. Some more work was accomplished on the new cabin there while we were there. There's the bunk beds. That's Larry Williams and myself. We were building bunk beds. And this picture here, I was out walking in the grass one morning, and I saw a whole bunch of money that had been run over by a lawnmower. And Oscar and myself, we were putting it back together with tape and was going to turn it into the bank to get new bills. I think we had about $22 or so, something like that. Anyway, that was our jigsaw puzzle that we were doing there at the camp just during one afternoon while we were supposed to be on our break.
Kept them out of trouble, too.
That's right. This is Little Egypt. We also, we worked at Florida Bible Camp near High Springs, Florida, March of this year. Again, I did the electrical work, painting. At that point there, I think we were burying an electrical cable or something in the ground. Had a fish fry. Cleaned up the cabins. This is a craft cabin. that they pulled everything out of and tried to throw stuff away that was dried up and everything else. And that's the finished product. It looks so much better. That's in Florida Bible Camp. A couple of the men were working on a roof that was leaking. Also, they had a nice, very nice swimming pool there. And they had to clean it out. In years past, before they put the fence up around it, every year before summer camp started, they had to get the alligators out of the pool. The only congregation we worked at was at Emerald Coast Church of Christ in Fort Walton Beach, Florida in 2015. This congregation was wanting to open a preschool, and they were going to open a preschool and then advance grade to grade to grade. And here, a group of us men, we were spreading sand for a playground for the preschool. The women, they worked in sorting clothes in a thrift store that the church operated, or they operated for the church, just to raise money for the preschool to get it off the ground. That's the group there at Emerald Coast.
Now we're going to move into some of the children's homes that we've worked with. This particular picture is the only one we have, and it is a picture of the group that we were blessed to work with. The first one that we served at was Boyle's Children's Home, which is also known as Arms of Hope in Quinlan, Texas. It's really hard to talk about this without sharing a little bit of background about what they're doing and how they're trying to accomplish the goals that they've set. They have an interesting program there. They not only have several individual homes that house parents and children, but they have duplexes that have been built that house women and children that have had to flee the home because of an abusive situation. These women are set up in a duplex with their children. They are given whatever is needed for their family. That includes furniture, towels, whatever is needed for a household. These women receive training or they finish school, and again, whatever is needed to help them to be self-sufficient when they leave the program there. When they leave the program, finish the program, they are given everything to take with them that they were given when they moved into the home. And we both were really impressed with that idea, because they felt like if they had to move out and start all over again, acquiring just bare essentials, that would be overwhelming, and that they might not end up any better off than when they first arrived. They have it is a new furniture store. It is a furniture store in Quinlan, Texas, that they will donate damaged furniture. So one of the things that I know, besides painting and all the other maintenance things that the men did, and I talk about Tom more because I obviously talked to him more about what he did that day, but they did spent time repairing pieces of furniture so that they could be used. So we just found that really interesting and very inspiring. The women a lot of times were assigned work to inspect donated clothing and organizing the clothing for the clothing closet that they have. Especially when people come and they have nothing, then they can go to the closet and pull out the things that they need. Another big part of the job that the women seem to end up with is organizing the pantry, pulling out dated canned goods and other things, because most of the children's homes that we've gone to have had a pantry that they could tap into. The next group, just one picture, because basically I only got to be there 1 week, but that is Carpenter Place that was formerly known as Mott Carpenter Home. We were there in 2015 in Wichita, Kansas. The men built a gazebo for the children, for the people there to enjoy. The women again, we got to clean family apartments. One thing that you hear over and over again as the ladies are cleaning is, man, I need to be home doing this. I never get around to doing this at home. And I'm saying that, I'm right there with them. But for some reason, it just seems a lot more fun to clean a house or clean up with several women and be doing it somewhere else. The next place that we're at, you'll see one of the Sojourners holding a tiny infant. This was at North Alabama Christian Children's Home, which is just outside Florence, Alabama. We were there in 2014. The neat thing about this was our very first sojourn, so that's always very special to you. The first week that we were, well, I guess I'm going to talk about the baby. That home right now currently is being used. Well, in 2016, it was being used for either expectant mothers or mothers that had maybe just one very small infant. Again, their focus was on trying to help the women become, whoops, I'm going to get the wrong ones here. Just a second, I digressed. So anyway, it's easy to get the different different ones mixed up. So anyway, I'm going to go back to North Alabama Children. You know what? They're out of order.
Okay.
I mean, not that Michael got them out of order. I'm sure we did. So I'm going to skip. I've got to skip down to this particular picture is of Child Haven Children's Home in Coleman, Alabama. As some of you that remember John and Sherry Owen, they are currently working there full time. I had hoped we'd be able to go back so we could see them, but the dates didn't fall right this year. When we were there in 2016, most of the homes were housing pregnant young women or women with infants. Again, the goal there was to teach them how to be godly women, how to take care of their children, and career training or finishing school if that was what was needed. This facility is also offering counseling to families who are about to lose their children into foster care, a very important aspect of that program. I thought about this today. I remember when we were there, they were talking about, because they're a Bible-based entity, they, of course, require the people to worship. Well, there were some people in Alabama that didn't think that that should happen, and so they were bringing up legislation to ban all church-related homes or services from forcing the residents to go to worship. Well, of course, there were a lot that jumped on that bandwagon, and, it was gaining momentum when all of a sudden they realized that if they started shutting down the homes that the Church of Christ had, the Baptist had, some of the other groups have, then all of those people would become basically depending on the state. And Alabama realized that they couldn't afford that they needed these church-related organizations to help with this situation. So that was something we were really excited. They were really excited about, because they were concerned that they were going to be losing that opportunity, that additional opportunity of fellowship for people who desperately need it. Okay, I'm going to get back to the North Alabama Christian Children's Home. It's outside Florence, Alabama. As I said, this was our very first one. The first week, we were just kind of moving along, enjoying just doing general upkeep and maintenance and that type of thing. They did tell us that the next week we would be involved in a fundraiser for that entity. Of course, we had no idea what that involved, so we're just working along. This is a picture of one of the couples, or not, they're not a couple, but wives during one of our devotionals. And so the first week, another photograph of devotional. One of the things that we start every morning with, hopefully we get to start at 8:30. Every once in a while we'll run across team leader that wants to start at 8, but he usually gets voted down. So anyway, we start every morning at 8:30 with the devotional time, and then we get our assignments, or and people get our plans laid out. I'm waiting for you to click the next picture. There, Tom's staining a deck that needed to be stained. Then the following week we were involved. Well, that week I didn't do anything other than I got to cook for the group. We had a small group, and they had a house that was open, so I got to fix lunch for everybody. And I keep waiting for that job to come back around, but so far it hasn't. So I thought that was pretty cool. So they always appreciate it when they're hungry, and they didn't have to wait an hour for the meat to get done either, Peggy. Okay, the next week was the fundraiser. We see the sign that says "Welcome to Coates Farm Trail Ride and Auction," and the Coates, that's brother and sister Coates, have a very large horse ranch down in that area, and every year they host the annual trail ride and auction to raise money for the school. So we got to set up the yard sale. We set all that up, got that all ready. We had no idea the extent of what this was until we drove up that Saturday morning and we saw all the horses and horse trailers. I mean, they were just everywhere. I'd never seen so many horses and horse trailers. But the Coates are very well known in that part of the country, very generous, gracious people, and they participated in a lot of horse competitions. So they were offering, of course, people paid a fee for the trail ride, and then after the trail ride, there were cauldrons of soups being cooked over open fire, stirred up, they sold, and then a lot of baked goods, cookies, just about anything you can imagine. We also got to clean out the stables. Now, we didn't have to do the yucky part. They have hired help to do the really yucky part, which probably might have been the end of my sojourning. But anyway, we did have to go in and do some finishing touches and set up the things for the auction. So they have entertainment. It's an all-day thing, and just it really was a lot of fun. It really seemed almost. Well, politicians came, insurance agents had their booths set up, just, it was just like a small town county fair. So then the fun part about it was the Coates, they're just really gracious people. They invited all the workers back out to their house, 2 nights later, 3 nights later, to celebrate. So that was another round of fun. So even though we work hard on all of these, there's usually some playing around and some celebrating that happens. So I knew it was going to be hard not to digress.
This one here is at Crowley Ridge. We were at Crowley Ridge College in Perryville, Arkansas in 2014. The men, we got to spend 2 weeks scraping, painting, bleachers, other athletic buildings. And the ladies, this is a couple of ladies here, they got to serve by cleaning and painting a boys' dormitory.
And it was nasty.
Now that's the group there.
I'd like to talk about the lady and the young woman in the wheelchair. Her she has Alzheimer's, and her husband was very healthy. He would carry her out of the trailer every day and put her in the wheelchair. And then she would go with us, and she would work puzzles. She'd been a 3rd grade teacher all of her life, and she would do word puzzles while the rest of us would work. She'd, in a little while, she'd want to know, do you remember his name? Anyway, she'd want to know where her husband was, and she wanted to be with her husband, and we'd give her a little stuffed animal, and she'd hold on to that, and she'd be good for a while. But it was just really quite a blessing to see that he was still carrying on, even though she's not able to. And it was important and we all felt like it was important for us to have her with us. It was a blessing, but so that he could go ahead and do the things that he loved to do and be able to serve in that capacity.
They're both gone now. She died first, and then several years later, he passed away also. Okay. What's yours?
Yeah, I'm talking too much. I knew I would. Okay, we're sort of almost done. The next group of Sojourners, we went ahead and grouped them together, even though they were spread out over a couple of years. Besides it being a warmer climate in January, it is probably our favorite and possibly most rewarding work that we do. These sojourns take place near a place called Far, Texas. That is about 5 miles from the Mexican-Texas border. There are many, many facets to the work that they do down there, and there are many different groups that come through each year to help. They have youth groups that come and spend a couple of weeks working. They have college students who come down on spring break. They have just members from the congregation that come, just pick out a week and they go down together and work. They have ladies groups that just go down. There's one ladies group that took sewing machines with them and went down and helped. A lot of the immigrants don't have access to sewing machines, but they're very, very good with them, and it's a means of them being able to support themselves if they're able to make some of the clothing. As sojourners, though, our primary work is to assist however needed with building and remodeling homes for the established Christian immigrants. Of course, as we mentioned, Tom is usually assigned electrical work. I think he's the oldest. No, you're not the oldest electrician. There's one more older.
A couple more.
But when we started 8 years ago, there wasn't very many people who. There were a lot more people intimidated by working with electricity than he was. So, anyway, he usually ends up. He and Dwayne get assigned all the electrical work. Since most of the structures haven't had any electricity installed yet. And, you might think that he's just kind of standing there with a wire running it through. Well, when we say in Far, Texas, when they're doing electrical work, that means they get to dig the ditch from the road to the house to put the run electrical wires. Yeah, for the in-ground utilities. So it's a little more complicated than just running a wire through a hole in a home that's been, I'm going to forget the word, what do you call it? Stubbed. Again, usually generally I'm involved with cleaning, painting. They have something that they give out to the local children and to the children in Mexico called Magi boxes. Magi boxes stand for Making God. I should have written it down. Okay, we'll move on. There's a lot of congregations that make simple dresses, varying sizes, shorts, other things. There's a lot of congregations that donate flip-flops. So we end up working with all those things, trying to get them sized, or the sizes together and boxing them up and sending them away. As you can see, generally this group is fairly large group, and we've been fortunate with serving with several people in that area. The other thing, and this was a thing I don't like, is they have a tool area and also a building that has construction supplies, and for some reason that always gets disorganized, and for some reason myself and another lady always get to do the job of sorting through that and trying to organize it and let it make some sense, so they can find what they need. They never put it back, but they at least can find it whenever we leave. So anyway, and the reason I think she ends up with that job is because we're not much on getting up on ladders and that type of thing. The first group that we in 19. We worked with a family, well, most of them worked with a family, with Mary and her family. We're not very good about getting everybody's names down because they are foreign to us and we have difficulties with it. But Mary and her family had lived in a trailer that the roof had collapsed in on. They had come here and they had worked. One of the important things that before they can, any of the Christian immigrants can receive any housing or help with housing, is they have to purchase the lot and own it outright. So that's, their basic investment into their home. And also everybody helps themselves, so they generally can get some relatives or whatever to help them start working on structure. So they were living in a trailer, and then their structure that they were building behind the trailer that they hoped to occupy as a home had 2 rooms that were finished in it, and that was done. As I mentioned before, the receivers of this mission work are Christians, and they have to have established themselves on a job and within a congregation. So the items that they completed were two. We had a couple that tiled and finished the plumbing for the bathroom, so they'd have the bathroom. The walls in the main part of the house, except for the 2 rooms, needed to be sheetrocked. And this really is challenging because there's never anything.
There's nothing plumb, nothing square.
So it ends up with the sheetrockers. They need to make it where that it works out a little bit better. So they insulate and sheetrock the unfinished areas of the house. Again, electrical and water had to be run to the home. Mary was kind enough, gracious enough to feed the people that were working at her home. There were approximately 10 people that worked in the home. She fed them lunch every day, and that might not sound like a big deal, but she didn't have a kitchen. So what she had to do in order to cook the food was grill her food out in her yard and then bring it in. And I don't think they had any water in the kitchen either, did they? So they had to supply the water. But one of the really exciting things that happened earlier this year when we went back, was that Mary and her family served us a meal at the Far Church. Mary's husband is an assistant manager for Luby's, and he does catering. He also serves as one of the deacons at the congregation. Their oldest daughter is now a kindergarten teacher. Their son is attending a technical school, and the 3rd daughter is in high school. At the dinner, we had the opportunity to meet several of Mary's extended family, and they are now Christians also working in that area.
And that's our group there, the first year, 19. Okay, this is probably a 2020 group that we're meeting together for a Devo before we started work in the morning. There's a centralized area where the ladies just had all kinds of stuff they needed to sort through, redistribute, pack in smaller boxes, develop the Magi boxes, lots of things going on. All right, I want to introduce you to Gerardo and Trendy. They are a couple together, and I want to show you where they were living. That building there, that was their, let's say, front room and maybe a bedroom. Around back, that was her kitchen area. Had a stove with a propane tank, gas stove. That was the bathroom, shower house. You had to walk out of the kitchen, around back into that area for a bathroom. We did have it was a flush toilet. There you go. It was a flush toilet, but there was no hot water. The hot water tank sitting there was not hooked up. It was just sitting there. This house that was a group from Virginia and Alabama. They worked together and came down and they assembled, built this house. The exterior, siding, roof, interior studs, and that's where they left it. We came in, what does that say again?
God is with us.
God is with us. That is put up inside the house. God is with us.
That was something that they did in all the homes that we've been in. Is they'll usually, if it's at the stud, they'll have a verse, their favorite verse, written across an archway or something. It's just very meaningful to them.
Yeah.
That
Here we have a couple of ladies. They are putting up insulation in the interior walls.
they're having too much fun.
Yeah, they're having a lot of fun. They staplers, the hammer type staplers. Hey, they got good at it.
You would tell them what she did. The doctor.
Oh, the woman up on the stepladder, she was a doctor out of Brazil. And I did not know this, but at some time or another during this 3-week construction time, I was underneath the house putting in plumbing. She was my gopher, sitting outside the house, and she would just go get anything and everything that I would need, that I would holler, I need this, I need this. And I was giving her directions all over the place, and a couple of days later I found out she was the doctor. Anyway, here we're putting up sheetrock on the ceiling. You can see it's still the unfinished house on the interior. I think I'm sitting there too. Yeah, that's me with my mouth open. This is George and
The
doctor's husband, and he, what, pharmacist?
Nurse.
Oh, he was a nurse. They were putting in plumbing for the bathroom. That is Trini. She is rolling out tortillas. She pads them out, and she had a dowel rod about this long, probably an inch, inch and a quarter in diameter, and she would roll those out and then throw them on a hot cast iron skillet, and they would puff up real high as they were cooking. She'd flip it over, and then she would serve that to us. That was our lunch. Sometimes we'd have that, we'd have beans. We had everything she cooked for us every day. One thing I couldn't handle. One day she served boiled pork rinds, I think. I think that's what it was. I tried it. One bite is about all I could handle. But it was, anyway, that's just a side note. Here we're eating outside, our lunch, eating outside there, putting up some of the walls. I think it's finished in there. Electrical's finished. Dwayne and I did all the electrical for the entire house. Ladies are painting the outside of the house. What do you want me to tell about Inez?
Well, Inez and George were actually from Tennessee, and they come to come to that area every winter, and they were out there helping us every day.
Yeah, they were winter Texans, but they would come and help. They weren't. Well, I guess they were Sojourners. I don't know whether they were Sojourners.
No, they're not Sojourners. They
would come and help. They were both up in their 80s.
At least.
Mid-80s, probably.
And we lost Inez just a few months ago, so she won't be with us this year.
That is the finished house after it's all finished. Water, electricity, sewer, everything was hooked up. This was probably taken on a Thursday afternoon. We don't know for sure, but is at our guesstimation that after we left that afternoon, Gerardo and Trendy probably started moving in. We had doors on where they could lock the doors, but It was nice. I was just amazed. The kitchen was a dirt floor. And I noticed right in the middle of the floor was a rock about that big around sticking up, just a little hump of a rock there that has been compressed in there forever. This is a group that was there. Ladies doing some more work. Sorting
shoes.
Sharding shoes and clothes, and that they're sending to Mexico. They send down to the mission work in Mexico. This is Karen up on a scaffold, painting the interior peak of the soffit. No fear at all. She was up there. All right, this 2021 had a family of 5. They lost their housing. The husband became a Christian. He was working in a liquor store, and when he became a Christian, he determined that that wasn't good for him working in a liquor store, so he had to quit. Well, the owner of the liquor store had been providing him an apartment over the liquor store for the family. So once he quit, he had to move out of the apartment, and they moved in with her sister's family. They were living in the front room. And so you had 2 families living in a small place. He started working, had a job putting up siding installer down there, and he was able to purchase a lot. Either he purchased or some friends donated about 2 or 3 structures that they moved in and they put together. And they were wanting that to become their home on the lot that they purchased. That's what it looked like. That's the back end of it. At least it had windows, not much. But that was the interior. That one angular piece there, we took that off. We insulated the walls. We put electricity in it. Again, we put water, put sewer. That is the oldest son working on a sink for the kitchen, for the bathroom. There, several men are installing kitchen cabinets after we got all the sheetrock in. Where me and Keith, I believe, were installing a water heater, electric water heater. In the back of the house, we built a shed or a roof over to protect the water heater and a future washer and dryer from the elements. Just a roof because the washer and dryers everywhere was just sitting outside. It worked for them down there because the temperature's not that cold. Towards the end, the structure, we went ahead and wrapped it in Celtex, getting it ready for the next phase. We weren't able to finish the project. And again, this is the 2001. This is right before the cold snap. And after seeing these pictures, I wondered just how the family, how they fared once they were down there and once that cold snap hit southern Texas. None of the houses has heating in it. They just wear a coat, put on more blankets. You're down there and don't need a furnace, really. Air conditioning, yes. Furnace, no. This is the family. Joel is the guy with the big heavy mustache. He's presenting the family with some gifts that we bought for them. I bought a couple of bedspreads and stuff for the family for their new home. Is this mine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Most.
Did you want to talk about? I don't think we. Or do you want to go back? Okay.
Oh, well, Gerardo and Trendy, a lot of times when she would cook for us, they didn't have anything for the next day. So Gerardo would either sell something or find somebody that needs a yard mowed. He'd go out and mow a yard, sell something just to get some money where they could buy food. We talked to one of our interpreter, not really a coordinator, Robert. We talked to Robert and about that. He said, well, can we give them money? Can we help pay for the food? No. He says, this is what they can do for you. And they want to help you. They want to feed you. And to give them money would really would insult them. So, he asked us not to. But we did give them some gifts at the end. The most recent report, I have a couple of reports up here from the Far Church of Christ. They are supporting 9 full-time ministers in South Texas area. They are supporting 12 ministers in Mexico. And they're partially supporting 7 missionaries. I know one of the missionaries is in India, Mitch. By summer's end, with all the people coming down to help this mission work, 20 plus homes were painted, 8 construction projects were started. And like I say, there's books over here if you'd like to look at the mission report book. There are a lot of pictures there. All right, last one. Jim and Linda, you recognize this. This is Flaming Pines youth camp up in northern Minnesota. I don't know whether you saw in the Christian Chronicle 2 or 3 years ago, they had a very heavy snowfall, and that building extending this way towards us collapsed. The roof collapsed. It completely destroyed the dining hall, destroyed the kitchen area, destroyed all the tables in there. And we got a call from just someone reaching out, can you come and help us? And we went up there with John Lucas and his wife, Jim and Linda and Johnette and I. We went up there and we helped construct picnic tables. This is John Lucas's wife. She takes what?
The towels the kids leave behind, cuts them up.
Makes washcloths, dish rags, puts hems up around the edges. She does that, just repurposing stuff. This is the devotional that we have up there, had every morning. There's Linda and I. We're putting polyurethane on picnic tables. Before we assembled, these were the supporting legs. Sanding the picnic tables. That's Jim there. All the wood that they were used was cut off the property. They cut all the wood. A member up there had a sawmill. They would run it through the sawmill, and they used the wood off the property. There's Jim again. That's the upside-down picnic table. There's a finished product. Gentleman down there at Wiregrass Youth Camp had a drone, and he made that little video, and we thought we'd show it at the end.
Yeah, we've never been in a movie before, so Tom and I had to share that with you. I don't think we'll get an Academy Award, but anyway, some people have too much time on their hands. But, okay, Tom's telling me to hurry it up. Yes. Okay, we're about done. It's as if I could. I'd like to take just a few minutes to remind you that we are a group of old people. We don't move as fast as we used to. We don't have the capacity for hard work that we used to have. However, every sojourn we have been on the last 8 years, we have completed every item on the list by the end of the 2 or 3 weeks. At the beginning of the sojourn, when the list is handed out, we often look at it and go, oh my goodness, there's no way we're going to be able to get that done. You know, what are they thinking here? At the end of the sojourn, when we look at our completed list, we know we have seen another miracle. God has enabled us. We hope that you don't leave here this evening feeling that you have just sat through your neighbor's vacation pictures.
But you have.
Although we might not be in there. We feel very blessed we've had the opportunity to serve in the Sojourner missions. We work hard, we eat well, and we play hard. We didn't spend much time showing the card games that can go on and the other things that we managed to find energy and time to do. Sojourners are traveling somewhere to serve almost all year long. We would ask that you remember us as well as the other sojourners in your prayers. We need prayers for safekeeping. We need prayers that we can be encouraging to wherever we go, especially when we go to small congregations that are no more than 10 or 12 people. We also want to be sure that the work that we do will glorify God as we serve in this way.
After last year, when we had the 3 sojourns back to back, we determined that was just too much at one time. This year, in January, we're going down to South Texas again to help down there for 2 weeks. Then in June, we are going to Neosho, Missouri. That is a children's home?
Christian school.
Christian school
Christian
in
school
Neosho, Missouri. To work there for 2 weeks. And then in September, we're going to Longmont, Colorado to work in a Bible camp. Yeah.
It's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one. Anyway, but just keep us in prayers. And thank you for sitting through our presentation.
Any questions? Questions?
And, anybody got any questions that she can answer? Yes. What?
What's the last name? Gerald. I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think so. There is. Okay. All old people look alike. Yeah. One of the things, one of the things that I've noticed is Tom and I are the only ones from Missouri. Most of them come from the Bible Belt, of course.
Texas, Tennessee. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Lucases attend church with...
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked a lot about Trinity and the work up there so with John Lucas. He's quite a talker. But anyway, it's they're really from all over. But like I say, I kind of hope maybe one of these days we might have some more representation from the Missouri
It's
area.
enjoyable. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Anything else?
A lot of Tylenol, a lot of
Yep.
ice packs, a lot of...
I don't think it's so much flooding. It's just the fact that a lot of these houses, they're built off location and then moved in. and set on these big concrete blocks. So I don't think, very few houses have foundations, basements underneath them at all. A lot of them have the crawl spaces. Again, I don't know that much. Oh, there you go.
I haven't seen any of those, Larry.
You take your own tools?
Yeah, I fill up the back of my truck with tools, everything I think I might need, and I always leave something at home. Yeah, you know, it's just a given. That way you have to go to Home Depot and buy something else.
Or they share.
Yeah, and we share tools a lot.
If the wife can stop them, we make them share. You know? We don't like these trips to. But the area where we go serve, they have either raised the funds for the material that we use, or I know there's a congregation in Tennessee that we've worked with them, and he always. I'm just telling you that he always brings a check from that congregation to go towards materials, because if you're struggling, getting materials is a big deal, or having the cash for materials.
Notice you talked about going around the Gulf Coast area. Issues with like storms, hurricanes, that kind of stuff.
No.
Either repairing that kind of stuff or work that you've done that was destroyed.
I know there's other Christian groups that go in and help disaster cleanup. I think Jim and Linda's been involved in some of those, I believe, but that's just not our bailiwick or something.
But there are quite a few Sojourners that do work with disaster relief.
Yeah.
But 1 year.
Not so much disaster cleanup, but like repairing of buildings. If a building's destroyed, like at a children's home or a camp or whatever,
I know 1 year, the first year we went to Far Texas, West Laco and a couple other towns that had so much rain that it had ruined a lot of the buildings. So there was a lot of, what they call it, mucking up. We didn't get in on that, but some of the other groups that went down there did a lot of mucking up, and then sheetrock had to be replaced. So I know, if things like that do come up, then it is addressed.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.